Now, it's not often I say this to a woman, but if my girlfriend was Ana de Armas, that is one fine specimen of a female I would take a bullet for and come home at the end of the day and Ana de Armas is waiting for me in a slinky black dress and maybe not much else to talk about. So my God, why am I talking about the lovely Miss de Armas? Well, there's an article that surfaced online recently where she says there's no need for a female Bond. You know, you can create substantial roles for women. And Ana de Armas, you're from Cuba, you're beautiful, you're super sexy, you're super gorgeous, and you're absolutely correct. I hope I never find the day that I say to myself, Ana de Armas is insufferable, because that will be a major blow to my big adoration of this woman. She's a fantastic actress. She's super smoking hot, and she seems to be quite based. I kind of like that. And of course, look, I want to talk about this here because I'm a massive James Bond fan anyway. I hated No Time to Die because the best thing about that movie was the 10 minutes we spent with Ana de Armas in Cuba with Daniel Craig. That whole moment, the interplay, we could have had at least 45 minutes of that spread throughout the movie. Because you know what? She was the first black female to be 007. And then what happened during the film? She gave Daniel Craig, aka the true 007, back his status, his number, which is it's some of the weirdest character decision making I've ever heard. It's so bizarre. So Ana de Armas says there's no need for a female Bond. There shouldn't be any need to steal someone else's character, to take over. This is a novel, and it leads into this James Bond world and this fantasy of that universe where he's at. Instead, de Armas says she'd like to see the existing female roles in the franchise becoming a bit more meatier. What I would like is that the female roles in the Bond films, even though Bond will continue to be a man, oh my God, I love this woman already, are brought to life in a different way. She said, adding that they're given a more substantial part and recognition. That's what I think is more interesting than flipping things. Wow, I mean, if I couldn't love this woman anymore, then I just want to love her even more after that. I mean, she's got a point, because you remember, you got to look at this highlighted part here. Barbara Broccoli, longtime producer of the popular spy franchise, previously expressed doubts that there'll be a gender swap. Bond is male, she told The Guardian in 2018. He is a male character. He was written as a male, and I think he'll probably stay as a male. But of course, she did mention something not too long ago after No Time to Die, that Bond could be non-binary. Wow, how exciting would that be, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, I am squeezing my nipples in anticipation about that one, because do you think I'm going to go and see a film where Bond is non-binary? Nah, I'm just going to stay at home. And I made a video, and it's a pretty cringy video actually. I mean, this is at a time when I hadn't really realized what was going on in front of me at the time. I was just too afraid to say things. But I made a video, and you can see it on my channel, I haven't removed it, where I talk about the choices about who I think should play Bond. And some of them are pretty cringy actually. I won't lie, I'm like, I can't go back there and watch it. I'm thinking to myself, dude, why would you say that? It makes no sense. Now, who should they cast as Bond now? Don't cast him at all. I would say take at least 6 years off the franchise. Don't worry about it now, because the world, in terms of entertainment, is in a very fragile place at the moment. Hollywood is just too precious about offending people rather than just remembering who pays their wages at the end of the day. Yeah, Daniel Craig, spoiler alert, gets killed at the end of No Time to Die. And I've often said what they should do is to bring him back. So in The Man with the Golden Gun, if you've not read it, what happens? Bond gets brainwashed in China, if I'm not mistaken. And then when he comes back to London, I think it is. He's been kind of brainwashed with this program to kill M and other sort of major figures in MI6 or MI5. It was probably back then. So like a bit of a Manchurian Candidate program, which would have been awesome to have seen actually, but the way they did it is Roger Moore. I love Rog, but it wasn't a Bond movie I wanted back then because, you know, Roger Moore made such a great auspicious start with Live and Let Die, and then all of a sudden they kind of really toned down his Bond and made it more comedic. You know, Roger was bringing in his own fashion ideas for the character, and it became fantasy on like a ridiculous level. And they are fun to watch, but I wouldn't call them the true Bond films. I think when Timothy Dalton took over, and Pierce Brosnan, that's when the series kind of went up the notches for me again. But you know what? De Armas talks about tougher female characters. She should go back to the earlier films with Timothy Dalton, like Carrie Lowell in License to Kill. She's great in that film. She's a tough character. Halle Berry's Jinx with Pierce Brosnan in Die Another Day. She's a badass in that film too. Famke Janssen as Xenia Onatopp, who squeezes you to death with her thighs. They weren't thick thighs, but they were thighs, because thick thighs save lives, folks. Yeah, she was a good and memorable character. So not every female character in the Bond movie has to be a goodie. She can be a baddie as well, but who knows? So I think they should actually restart this series from the 60s again. If you're worried about offending today's sensibilities, then maybe change a couple of things, but have the iconic fashion of the 60s and see where it goes from there. But maybe I think people will want to see a Bond film again if it's done in the right way, because Top Gun Maverick has proven you can just give the audience something they weren't really thinking about for 36 years, suddenly makes 1.2 billion at the box office, and hey ho, maybe, you know, people like Tom Cruise know that people do want to be entertained. Nothing more, nothing less. But Ana de Armas, I absolutely salute you, because you are just, oh God, she's perfection, isn't she? She really is. And on that one, folks, if I were you and if you were me, I would check out the next video. Woohoo!
Remember when we danced salsa in the middle of the street? I remember in the middle of the street. Yeah. Women in Bond films were always so perfect. It was hard for any young woman to relate to that.
We got this. We got this. Amazing. Wicked pictures. Right. Thank you. Run for your